Okay. Time for you to suffer through another one of my videos. This is a catch-up video on where we stand on a lot of this slip-form concrete. We're going to start off here with the part we're just beginning on, and then an update on the dirty kitchen, and then a little bit on the tilapia tank, which is all completely poured. And we got other videos on the cistern and the septic tank and the house itself. Anyway, what we got here in the picture is the size of a shrimp tank. This is brackish water shrimp. You start them out in sort of salt water, and then you in your breeding tank, and then you transition them into almost just plain water. Some of them will grow in fresh water, and prawns can grow in fresh water. Anyway, this is showing you the relative size of the tank compared to the size of the house. Everything is to scale. The house is about 70 feet across, so I would guess this tank is about 45. You'll notice some, did my pointer work here? Yes. These blue rods sticking up, these rebars, those are a U shape. It's the same shape as this red one here that goes around the ends. Exactly the same thing. They're interchangeable. And that way this corner joint is really reinforced, and we get a lot more tie-in to the base than we've been using on the other tanks, because you really can't lose the water on a tank that living things are needed for survival. And then there's a second bar. It runs along the bottom and bends straight up. There's 22 of those on each end. And there's 8 of these used for this, and 52 of those. Not shown, this grid in the middle here is just straight bars that just go across and connect it all. And on the back here, we get 2.5 bars end to end with about a 20-inch overlap. The bars, I don't know if we can learn anything here from turning this. That's the grid size. We know where our notch boards for 8 3/4 are, and that's the main reason why we're using 8 3/4 by 8 3/4, because we don't have to make notch boards. The difference between making it ideal and making it what's convenient, it's like 6 rebars. It costs more than that for the good wood to make different notch boards. And the ones we got make several sizes. I might actually pick a different face. We got 3 sizes on every one of them. Oops. This is amazingly hard to rotate. I don't know if the manufacturer of the software knows that, or maybe it's just me. And now we're going to take a look at a couple of things. Oh, while we're just because we're here, this is the shape of our. We call it the second floor because other people do, but it's really not. This is all zigzagged to be like splines on a shaft. It holds up a round roof that's about the diameter of this over here. But it makes things inside that are big enough to be bedrooms if you wanted them to be. And these are storage spaces. And there's, of course, there's a wall. These are the inner columns that go up and also hold the roof plate on. And the walls here continue to that. And then there's an arched doorway. So this trapezoid here is a 14 feet by 9 or something like that. It's big enough to put a standard sized bed in. And that also gives you lanais on the outside. This was not really usable as a lanai because this is the stairs that goes up to the wind turbine that sits on the roof. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4 lanais. This one's got a decent view of what passes by on the street out there. the people, and we can tell the time by which way the kids is walking to school and not. Oh, not anymore. They're not going to school right now. And this gives you a great view of the vulcanizer across the street. Okay, wait a minute. Let's get back to something what we're working on. Otherwise, this is going to turn into a 2-part video. Now I have to upload 2 parts, and I don't care to do that. Might happen. You never can tell. This is our okay, you can't read the print. This is the bars are 2 bent ends, and that's the bar with 1 bent end. I didn't know that my house floor plan was upside down because I was looking straight down like a top view. So I was doing something and it didn't make any sense. So I flipped the whole drawing, at least this end of the drawing. And anything that wasn't flipped is now a mirror image. Transform, rotate 3D. We're going to rotate this crap here. And we're going to do 180 flip. Gets better and better, doesn't it? Aren't you glad that there's such a lot of thought going into this presentation? Transform, rotate 3D again. And we're going to flip all this. I forgot that they had a double flip before. What have I done? It's not repairable. You know, you just can't not keep trying on this stuff. Son of a gun. If one wanted to read this, this is what the foreman gets from me. When I'm playing architect, he gets what I send him. And there's a message here of how to go about setting up the bender, and then the bottom right here, how many to make. That's the single bent bar. That goes on. This is the bottom, and this is the upright. And this is how to find the bend point. So this is the only number that counts, the 151. Nothing else counts. Okay. And we'll get into this over here on the side another day. Minimize that. Well, that's not the page I wanted to be on, but it's going to have to do. This is the second pouring on the cistern, and I couldn't tell you why it opened up on that, but it did. This is the amount of dirt we still have to throw out of the cistern, but I wanted to get the concrete done before rainy season gets serious. So, oh, they're just showing me what broke. Let's close this and find where we want to be. This is as good a place as any. Okay, what we're looking here is showing as the second and the third pour of the tilapia tank. It's a grow out tank. There's breeding bits that they get them up to fingerling size, and then you chuck them in here. I think it's 7 fish per cubic foot if you're going to have aeration. We're going to do about two fish per cubic foot. Just made the tank bigger. You can see where the bolt spacers went through. Like over here, this blue one, the pipe is still in there. it's chipped around, so I guess that doesn't want to come out. Most of them don't want to come out when I'm trying to do it. If you tighten those bolts with a wrench, it distorts the pipe. With the forms, it crushes it end to end, and then it's not a round thing in a round hole anymore, and it's hard to get out. If you just tighten them up with pliers or something, or a little end wrench, everything's good to go. No telling what would happen if you used the electric wrench on it. Okay, so the first 4-foot form and the parts of the next form have been backfilled. And we're going to have, this is the gutter for the house is running around over here. Oh, it's not in your view. And well, it's kind of in the view. You see some of it up here in the corner, in the top right corner. This is a sort of a V shape. Okay. What's relevant on this picture is the uncleaned up concrete. This is the way it comes out of the form. We have a little chisel that goes on the end of a hammer drill, and we can go down by and clean this flash off. That would take about less than a minute, maybe 45 seconds to clean that. This we'd probably just take a shovel and scrape across it. Take it right off. I don't know what we got here. It looks like something built up on the surface. There's some stuff just dumped down on it sometime or other. I don't know how that couldn't have been inside the form. Somebody's thrown that up there since it was poured. Anyway, we have a shot farther back showing that that's the hole they're filling. It's also the hole that they were digging on in a previous video. That's showing the relative size of the tank. This is 5'3", that's 5'3", this is 4 foot, and that's about 1'8". So I'd say that's a 14-foot wide by 8, 16, 20, 24, 28, 28 foot 4 inches on the outside. And the wall's 7 inches thick, so you have to subtract that. This is around 29,000 gallons, thereabouts. Okay. We've not got the picture of the clean slab, I guess. This is the dirty kitchen slab here. Poured that May or June of 2020, just before we left with the regular airline ticket. Well, no, that's when we would have arrived. No, that's when we would have left. Okay. So that was after the quarantine had been going on for quite a while, about 5 or 6 months. Anyhow, that's our standard buoyant type finish. It's a magnesium float. No steel trowel. We want it. It doesn't look like it's rough. And we're going to run a silicon carbide 7-inch sanding disc over it to clean off anything that's dusty. And then we can stick ceramic tile down to it at will. Up here, hiding behind that old leaf, that's been the main entrance to the house and will probably continue to be. It's about 15 feet between the wall of this and the wall of the house. All the windows in the house, a little under 5 feet. Up here in the corner, you see a round opening. That's an exhaust fan for the kitchen. That's over top of the where the walks are. There's a couple burners that aren't underneath of that corner, but whoever uses the in-house kitchen, this has to be pouring down rain for you to ever use it. This kitchen out here gets a counter identical to the one in the main kitchen on this side, and the mirror image of it actually is flipped. This end would be the end down at the other corner. This pink form we didn't make this time round. This is the form that was used for the doorway on the second floor from all those rooms around the spline shape. It's just laying, or it's down flat. I'm not sure which direction it was when they used it up there. I didn't know we still had it. A lot of times those become tables and go someplace else. We stubbed up a 2-inch pipe. That's the drain for the sinks. And this is a 4-inch pipe with a clean out tee, you know, because the going off to the right over here, right around in here someplace. Right around here someplace. The sanitary lines are running to the septic tank right there. So while we were doing it, we thought we'd just put a pipe in there in case we ever had to connect this to that. And Aurora's telling me she wants a CR off the outside of the back of the dirty kitchen so people that are cooking have a place to clean up. I can't tell you that why this house just gets bigger and bigger. Won't never finish it. He's got some more forms put up. And those are end braces that goes on the homemade, you know, make it yourself form. All these forms are made on site. Just because they're painted doesn't mean we bought them. We paint them for weather protection, not to make them pretty. And we paint them by color so we know what goes where, what it's part of. This is your top rebar, which you can see is down about 1.5 inches into the concrete. There'll be 2 more of them, one just 1.5 inches above the concrete, and one 3.5 inches away, and then 4 inches. I'm not on, my pointer's off screen. Okay, 1.5 inches above the concrete, 3.5 to the next one because we double reinforce the edges. Then 4 inches up to the start of the grid, and then it's 9-inch spacings up until you get this distance here from the top, and then this we have the down 3.5, down 4, and that starts you up back on the 9s. Okay, this is dirty kitchen forms. And from the height of the forms, I would say this is a setup for pour number 2. It is pour number 2 because they've just moved this stuff around. Wish these pictures was in order. They're ready to pour concrete. Over here on the right, you can see the corners of our Baje Cubo. Bought that for 13,000 pesos. That's $360. In 2014, still using it. Looking and measuring. This is another view of the dirty kitchen. And we have the same 2-inch water in and 4-inch water out on the other side. Because we never, it's hard to put a pipe in later. This is showing the dirt that we just looked at. And back to the dirty kitchen. This is mid-form on the dirty kitchen. And from the height of the bags, I'd say this picture is of the first ring pour. The forms aren't done because we haven't got the door bucks in it. And we haven't got window bucks in it. The window bucks, they sit down 8 inches into this form. That leaves them 40 inches off the ground so you can have a kitchen backsplash on your counter. And also it makes it a lot more shallow and better chance of getting the concrete to go under this 4-foot wide form. I told them to get something, a stick, and use it like a boat paddle and shove it in there. But it doesn't work. We can fix it with a trowel while the form is still there as a mold. Once we pull the forms, we can pack some cement or concrete or one in there and fix it. But the idea is try to do it right the first time. And you see how few bolts is in these things. This note here really hasn't got any. Oh, you can see that if I turn this. Hey. This piece of orange pipe here, what that is because we bought a bunch of 8-inch bolts for previous work. We reuse everything forever. And if the bolt's too long, rather than thread that nut all the way down, or if it runs out of thread, some bolts only thread like 25% of the length, we shove a piece of drop of 3/4 inch PVC pipe in a flat washer. If this piece of pipe had been that long, you'd only have to turn the nut about 6 threads. Saves time putting it together and lets you have fewer pieces of hardware to keep up with. It just makes things more versatile. I'm looking right here. See that black shiny rock? That's the rock we like. This is the rock we could get due to quarantine. It was a quarry that was open. You can like what you want, but you use what you can get over here. So we're putting it in the dirty kitchen. I don't really want to use that on in-ground tanks because the pressure's too high. Or could be too high. I'm not... Did that have a buck in it? Of course not. Okay, this is a corner form. I can see the end of it right here and the end of the concrete. So this is, there'll be another short piece made up. We make them, when we get away from 4 foot, 8 foot, there's some 7 foots and some 53 inch. When we get away from any of those sizes we have that we use on other things before, then we make up a short piece. It'll always be less than 4 feet because we've got plenty of 4 feet forms. This is going to be about a 14 inch. This is 8 3/4. And that about 14 inch long piece. It ends here because there's going to be a door jamb. The bottom half of the buck, the vertical part, will be filling here. That's why there's no horizontal rebars going across. I don't know why that one's got a cover on it. I guess they're going to pile something on it, like bags of cement or something. And this one to keep them from getting dampness. And that's our tilapia tank filled a little bit more. We get the daily updates from the job site of pictures. So the pictures may be related to another part of the project. It's just that they worked on that day, and they're showing us that they've raised that dirt level 18 inches and gone around the side and put a bunch. We bag our sand and rock ahead of time, which what most people do. But when we move it right up to, we move the mixer up as close as we get it to where we're going to work. When we're working on the roof, we put the mixer on the roof. And then you have this dead zone about 5.5, 6 feet away from the mixer for walking around and things. And after that, you start rows of bags. There'll be 3 rows, columns of rock, 2 columns of sand, and then a pile of cement bags, because it's a 1, 2, 3 mix. They don't have to move these, but about an average of about 12 or 14 feet to the mixer. So that part of the cycle is pretty quick. Fish tank. Now you can see that it really is much longer than it is wide. Here's that 18 inch piece, a 4 foot piece, and a 4 foot 5 and 4 foot 5. These could be 4 foot 5 or 4 foot 3. Because of the way the corner forms are made, the 2 sides of the corner are not the same. Not a problem when you're putting together a rectangle, because you can just bolt another form to it, and whatever you need to make up the last little piece, you make it. We can, if I had accurate dimensions of where the stub ups in the concrete are, I could have had the forms screwed together to make it perfect fit. But the guy that does it can't measure. You can't measure and translate. I'm not sure which of the parts it is. This again is the fish tank, because here's the power lines that we're not allowed to connect to. Their transformer is in our front yard, 20 feet from the wall of the house. And we can't get electric from it. Done the paperwork about 3 times. It just keeps changing the requirements, and I'll give up on them. I'm going to put a turbine on the roof. Okay, this is a better view of the gutter. Lower this down. It's level for about 18 inches. Then it goes downhill over that distance. And it's got about a 24-inch bottom on it. Total from the side wall of the house to the edge of the gutter, 125 inches. It's 8 inches deep. It's the deep part is where the runoff from the roof runs off, and it'll splash the dirt out of there for whatever. I need to get the water away from the foundation of the house. Of course, it's 6 feet deep, but it gets soupy. You know, the dirt over here is terrible. We have a lot of bearing because our entire floor is under the walls and on top of the tie beams. So it's basically a floating house. It's every bit of contact is load bearing, or can be if it needs it. I need to do something to explain that on a longer video sometime. This is to show us that they got done with one pour and weren't ready to set up the next one, and they brought all the forms inside the house to keep them out of the weather. And we noticed that and asked them, you know, and so they told us, yeah, we brought them in so they don't get damaged. I told them that they've got a year and a half's work with these forms. If they let them get crappy, they're the ones that's going to suffer, not me. And they were also showing that we'd got a load of bagged cement in. Of course, it gets stored in the house. In this view, you see the corner of a column. You can't tell, but that's actually a 90-degree corner. These columns are 30 by 32 inches, got 26 upright bars in them and a whole bunch of stirrups. Every bar has a 90-degree or more wrap by a stirrup. So there's 3 parts to the stirrups, 3 different shapes, so that we capture every one of the bars so it can't expand outwards. These walls, it's 8 feet to the, what you see a line right here. And then it steps out 3.5 and up 3.5. That's a U.S. pressure-treated 4x4 cut on the diagonal. And that gives us a beam at the top, which is half a sheet of phenolic boards, 24 inches tall beam, and out 3.5. So with the 7-inch wall and the 2 3.5s, this beam is 14 by 24. It is also cast integral with the wall. The form is up, and we dump it in up here, and we had a vibrator, a gasoline vibrator, Chinese. It worked just fine. No, we used it, I don't know, 2 years. I don't know why we're not using it right now, except that we're using these much lighter forms than what we used on the house. We made the house forms too, but they were double-sided, like a box, rather than a single side with backers. The backers have another plywood out here, and the backers are thicker. They're wider. So we pour in 10 feet 1 5/30 to the top of this wall in one shot, and we got you can't see it in the camera. There's a round window here with the sunlight blanking it out. I know it's there because I can see it on the computer screen, on the JPEG image. But those are sandwiched between the wall forms, and all the windows and door openings. They're not only just openings, they have the shape of a jam cast into the wall when you make it. I don't know why I built a house different than this. It was so inexpensive. It looks like it cost 3 times as much as it did. Now you can't see it there either. This is a window. The pointer heart even shows up. You can see the door with its jamb here. Oh. Laying on the floor. That's one of the panels. That's the right-hand side of the gate. That's a Chinese dragon. We also have a European dragon for the left panel and a Japanese dragon for the personnel door. Forms stacked up. This is just what we call wide door. One of them is 6 inches wider than the other ones. The narrow one is about 10 inches wider than you need for wheelchair access, and this is 16 inches wider. I think codes ought to all include wheelchair. The theme on this level of the house is tropical plants. So these are from pictures of real plants. You just have to find a picture that looks like what you want it to be. Now, as long as you copy the individual plant and leaves and stems and stuff, you can move them together and rotate them around or put them in a different picture. But basically, every piece of artwork in this house is from a real picture. There's no artist renditions of anything. First floor is fish. Second floor is orchids around the outside. The round windows are 36-inch circles. And inside of that is lotus flowers and, I don't know, frogs and pigs and whatever. There's a theme. I just don't know what it is. I did at the time. This is the remains of our outside staircase. The foreman told me they were getting where they weren't safe. So I told them to unscrew them. And these are the salvage pieces, and the rest of it they burnt. Okay, we're going to call this video a video right now, and we're going to take off again in a little bit. So, off.